To truly understand the terror that is Ungoliant, we need to go back, way back, to the time before the world was fully formed. Ungoliant is one of the most terrifying and mysterious beings in Tolkien's legendarium, and her origins are as dark and enigmatic as she is. Tolkien described Ungoliant as a being of utter darkness, and her origins are shrouded in mystery. Some theories suggest that she was a corrupted Maya, one of the lesser Ainur who entered the world alongside the Valar. Others propose that she was something even older, possibly a spirit of darkness that existed before the world was sung into being by Eru Ilúvatar. What we do know is that her darkness is far more primal and terrifying than anything created by Morgoth. Ungoliant hid in the dark corners of the world, far from the light of the Valar, growing in power and malice. She despised the light, hungering for the darkness that she could weave and control. This intense hatred of light would later become a key element of her story and her downfall. Morgoth, the greatest of the Valar who had turned to darkness, sought to bring ruin to the world. After the destruction of his fortress Utumno, Morgoth was left weakened and on the run. It was during this time that he encountered Ungoliant, a creature so dark and powerful that even Morgoth, the great enemy, sought to ally with her. Morgoth knew that he needed a powerful ally to strike at the heart of Valinor, the realm of the Valar. He sought out Ungoliant in her lair in the south, near Avathar, a region of shadow that lay to the south of the Pelori Mountains, beyond the sight of the Valar. Morgoth promised her something she could not resist, the light of the two trees of Valinor, which she would be free to consume. Driven by an insatiable hunger, Ungoliant agreed to the pact. The promise of devouring the light of the two trees was too great a temptation. Morgoth and Ungoliant formed a dreadful alliance, and together they prepared to strike at the heart of Valinor. The two trees of Valinor, Telperion and Lauraline, were the greatest sources of light in the world. Their combined glow illuminated the land of the Valar, and their beauty was unmatched. But all of that was about to change. Under the cover of the great festival of the Valar, Morgoth and Ungoliant made their way to Valinor. The Valar were distracted, and the land was unguarded. Morgoth struck the first blow, wounding the trees, and then Ungoliant sprang into action. She wrapped her dark webs around the trees and began to drain them of their light, consuming the very essence of their being. The light that had filled Valinor for so long was snuffed out, plunging the land into darkness. Ungoliant devoured the light, growing in size and power as she did so. The trees withered and died, and the Valar were left in shock and despair. But Ungoliant's hunger was not sated. She demanded more, and Morgoth, true to his word, gave her the jewels from the Noldor's treasury, including the Silmarils, the most precious gems in all of creation, crafted by Fëanor and infused with the light of the two trees themselves. As Ungoliant devoured the jewels, she grew even more monstrous, her darkness becoming so great that it blotted out the stars. She became a towering figure of shadow, and her hunger only grew. With the Silmarils in his possession, Morgoth thought he could finally control Ungoliant, but he had underestimated her. Ungoliant's hunger grew even greater after consuming the light of the trees and the jewels, and she turned on Morgoth, demanding that he give her the Silmarils. Morgoth, driven by his own greed, refused to part with the Silmarils, and in her rage, Ungoliant attacked him. She wrapped him in her webs of darkness, trapping him and draining his strength. It is said that Morgoth, in that moment, felt fear for the first time since his fall. Morgoth's desperate cries for help were answered by his most loyal servants, the Balrogs, spirits of fire and shadow. They came rushing to his aid, wielding their fiery whips, and together they drove Ungoliant away. Even the Balrogs struggled to subdue her, but in the end she was forced to flee. After her defeat at the hands of the Balrogs, Ungoliant fled into the darkest and most desolate regions of the world. She made her home in the mountains of Ered Gorgoroth, the Mountains of Terror, where the light never reached and the shadows were deepest. It is in these dark and forsaken lands that Ungoliant spawned a brood of monstrous offspring, including the infamous Shelob, who would one day terrorize the lands of Middle-earth. Her offspring inherited her hatred of light and her insatiable hunger, spreading fear and darkness wherever they went. As time passed, Ungoliant's hunger grew more insatiable, and she began to consume herself. In her endless quest for more light, she devoured her own body, disappearing into a void of her own making. Some say that she was never truly defeated, only that she vanished into the darkness, leaving behind a legacy of fear and terror. Ungoliant may be gone, but her influence lingers in the shadows of Middle-earth. Her descendants, like Shelob, continue to strike fear into the hearts of those who venture into their lairs. And the darkness she brought to the world is a reminder that there are some evils that cannot be fully vanquished, only contained. Even in Mordor, the land where Sauron, the Dark Lord, would rise, the legacy of Ungoliant can be felt. The darkness and shadow that hung over Mordor are echoes of the terror that Ungoliant once brought to the world. Her offspring continue to plague the lands of Middle-earth, serving as a reminder of the darkness that still lurked in the world. Ungoliant's true origins and nature remain a subject of debate among Tolkien scholars. Was she a corrupted Maya, a spirit of darkness, or something even older and more sinister? Tolkien left many of these questions unanswered, allowing readers to ponder the mysteries of her existence. In the end, Ungoliant remains one of the greatest enigmas of Tolkien's legendarium. She's a character who defies easy explanation and resists the constraints of mythology. Her story invites us to explore the deeper, more spiritual aspects of Tolkien's world and to consider the possibility that some evils are so ancient and primal that they cannot be fully understood or categorized. As a being of pure darkness, Ungoliant represents the unknown, the unexplored, and the terrifying depths of the world that even the greatest powers cannot control. Her fate remains uncertain, but her legacy is clear. She's a reminder of the destructive power of unchecked hunger and greed, and the terror that lies in the darkness. So what do you think? Is Ungoliant a force of nature, a spirit of darkness, or something else entirely? Was she truly defeated, or does her spirit still linger in the darkest corners of Middle-earth? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the lore of Middle-earth.